Let's begin with update on the Russian-Ukraine war. Britain is one of 11 countries pledging further military aid for Ukraine. In a strongly worded speech, UK Defense Secretary Ben Wallace told Russia's President Vladimir Putin that Ukraine's allies are, quote, not going anywhere. Reports say about 500 to 600 Ukrainians have been trained. We have a report.
As American and European leaders meet in Europe to discuss delivering more weapons and military aid to Ukraine, Russia is warning that more deliveries of weaponry will bring the conflict to a new level. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov says, quote, "This will mean taking the conflict to a whole new level, which certainly will not mean well in terms of global European security," end quote. The threat comes days after Ukrainian troops arrived at Fort City in Oklahoma for training on the Patriot missile systems. It also comes as the U.S. Secretary of Defense, Lloyd Austin, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Army General Mark Milley, and the Ukraine Defense Contact Group begin a meeting at the Ramstein Air Base to discuss military aid to Ukraine aimed at halting an expected Russian offensive. The Biden administration is reportedly working currently to finalize a new weapons package worth nearly $2.6 billion of military aid to Ukraine, which may include approximately 100 Stryker combat vehicles and 50 Bradley armored vehicles. European nations are pledging to step up assistance as well.
So the challenge to itself was designed specifically to fight Russian T-series main battle tanks. With that in mind, I'm hoping that it will go toe-to-toe. It will take a few punches and dish out punches as it goes.
I want as many tanks to support the Ukrainian efforts in 2023. Okay, there's no secret about that. If we are to get a message to the Kremlin that we're not giving up, that we are doubling down, tanks are part of that.
We see the results on the battlefield in Ukraine. Thank you. On the battlefield against our common enemy. And I believe that our unity will only become stronger with every new Rammstein. But do we have a lot of time? No. Terror does not allow for discussion. The terror which burns city after city becomes insolent when it feels that the defenders of freedom run out of weapons against it. The war started by Russia does not allow delays.
On Thursday, 11 European defense ministers and leaders met in Estonia, where they promised to offer new military packages to Ukraine, including main battle tanks, heavy artillery, air defense, ammunition, and infantry fighting vehicles. It is not clear if the Russian government has specific plans to escalate tension in relation to weapons delivery to Ukraine. But in recent weeks, there's been some fear in Russia that Ukraine might conduct attacks inside Russia after several attacks against Russian air bases within Russian territory, widely attributed to Ukraine, took place last month. The Ukrainian government has not directly claimed responsibility for the attacks.
And for a look at the lingering war in Ukraine and measures being taken internationally to bring it to a halt, we are joined by the Director General, Bolitak Center for International Diplomacy and Strategic Studies, Professor Bola Akinterunwa. Good to have you join us.
The New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Prof. So as we speak, there is so much pressure on Germany to send military tanks to Ukraine. But Germany seems to be hesitating. Why do you think that is?
Well, it is just like what, Nicola Kokoti told us that when trouble sleeps, Nyanga will wake up. In other words, trouble lives in a room without door, without window. But when you force your way by creating a door, a window to get in, then you meet with trouble. And then the trouble will continue to accompany you until no time limit. Germany must be hesitant because the issue now is that Germany, France, European countries are basically contiguous neighbors, not only by geographical contiguity, but also by geopolitical propinquity. They are the first countries to bear the consequences of any more serious war. So in this case, this is time for Germany to make haste slowly. Let me tell you now that the Russian government is saying that, okay, if the Western world, the NATO countries are deepening, strengthening their arms supply to Ukraine, then the next thing within the framework of legitimate self-defense is to use whatever means in the possession of Russia. So, consciously, we'll be moving from conventional war to an unprecedented nuclearization of the war. This is what I want to strongly believe that Germany wouldn't want to have in place. And please do not forget that Germany was a major victim of the First World War, even though it is a German that kickstarted the war that culminated in the signing of the 1999 Versailles Treaty. Veto for the Second World War. Germany was there. Germany was partitioned into two, East and West. It just of recent, now that the Berlin Wall was knocked down, and Germany regained its unity. Now, Germany wouldn't want a situation again that they will be presented with fait accompli. And I think that it's a very right decision on the part of Germany to tread more cautiously, rather than getting others to put them into trouble.
Let me state to our viewer that Prof is joining us via phone, just in case you're wondering. But Prof, let me ask you, because now we're hearing from Finland and Poland saying that they will send the German battle tank, which is a Leopard 2 tank, to Ukraine without German authorization. What do you think will be the implication of that, especially for the EU?
In fact, it's the same thing. When you refuse to recognize the potential that, look, Germany is not fighting Ukraine, it's only assisting Ukraine. The United States is not fighting Ukraine, they are fighting Russia. Now, when people say they take sanctions, you can only take sanctions within your own possible means, limitations. It is not Russian Federation that you can harass. Russian Federation is not Nigeria. So if you decide to use any particular weapon, please, the same principle of reciprocal treatment will be there. The bottom line is that Russia launched what they call special military intervention. And in this case, Russia knew quite well and continues to know that engagement in a special military intervention is unconstitutional, that it is prohibited in international law, that you cannot, intervene in the domestic affairs of other sovereign states. So it is not that Russia does not know the implications. So Russia prepared very well for all these hostilities. Consequently, if anyone now wants to send whatever type of weapon, new versions of drones to Russia, Russia will certainly intervene. Let me just caution, let me tell you that when, for instance, the Japanese decided to attack the United States towards the tail end of the Second World War, in the belief that they will want to prevent the United States from entering into the Second World War on the part in support of the Axis allies. Now, the Japanese launched attack on Pearl Harbor, destroying all American vessels there. Strongly but wrongly believing that it would take 6 months before the United States will be able to reconstitute its vessels. Now the United States was faced with this type of challenge and decided to try. They were making atomic bombs by that time. It was not to be used, but they put America to consider. And that explains why the Americans tried what they called the little man, which was dropped on Hiroshima, and then the fat man on Nagasaki in 48 hours interval. And with these bombs, creating very radioactive material.
And Prof, just because I have like about 2 minutes left, I just want to quickly jump in. Why we understand now, as we speak, that there is a meeting being hosted by U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and has other defense secretaries from other countries that are also supporting Ukraine. Do you think that these countries will get on the same page in terms of weapons supplied to Ukraine and what type of weapons to supply?
Well, all these countries are now looking at the war as a war directly targeting them and no more as a war targeting Ukraine alone. And in this particular case, the moment they begin to fear that Russia can do and undo to attack them, it is very possible they too will now, it's better to engage in a war and die in it than accept war to be carried to their doorsteps. So we are in a fix, everybody.
We're monitoring developments, and then we will bring a viewer update as we get them. Thank you so much for talking to us as always, Professor Bola Akinteriwa, Director General, Bolitech Center for International Diplomacy and Strategic Studies.
Thank you for having me.